Here to introduce one of my favorite person and my flatmate, Craig Jaffa.
What's up, guys? So I'm gonna do my set now, then we'll have the other act on. So there we go. So for those who don't know me, my name is Craig, and I grew up Jewish in South Africa. My favorite movie as a kid was Schindler's List. You know, the one about the guy smuggling Jews out of Nazi Germany? Well, since coming to London, I've been thinking, like, what if I smuggle some of my friends over, and one day they make a movie about me and they give it a better name? Like Craigslist. You know, sometimes non-Jewish people will say to me, "You don't look Jewish." And to me, that's like a pretty racist compliment. You know, after the Second World War, my grandparents moved to Africa because they wanted to be somewhere like really far away from any kind of discrimination. And since coming to the UK, well, you know, South Africa, we have one of the highest crime rates in the world, like violent crime. And since coming to the UK, I've met these guys called roadmen. The street gangs. This one roadman says to me, "Yo, you was a bumperclut." And that was the first time I'd ever heard that phrase. So I was just like, "No, you're a bumclaw." And I stabbed him. When I first arrived, I started job hunting, and my friend Mike told me I should wear a watch to interviews because it signals to employers that I'm punctual and responsible. So I started wearing 2 watches. Now people just think I got too much time on my hands. I'm also trying to learn a new language, so I've started with French because it's a language of love. But also because I've never heard anyone go, talk South African to me. I'm also not a tall guy, so to try and make myself sound more attractive, I like to tell women that I'm a short king. Then one lady was like, "It just sounds like you got a small penis." And delusions of grandeur. And I was like, yo, I do not have delusions. I do have small hands though. You know, one of the benefits to having small hands is that you can hold things and make them appear larger. So, I help a lot of my friends with their dick pics. I read a book that says women like bad boys. So now I'm a bad boy. Is that okay with you guys? So I have this ex, well, I still have this ex, she's not dead yet. She broke up with me because apparently I flossed too much. Like initially we both agreed that like good dental hygiene is a huge turn on, but then I took things way too far. She woke up one morning to find me flossing her teeth. It's a silly one. I went on a date recently with an older woman, and she started showing me pictures of her kids. And I had no idea how to relate, so I just panicked and I started showing her pictures of my flatmates. This is Alexi. He's 34 and a half. Learning some French. Still learning how to use the toilet. Baby steps. There's Lexi right here. Good to see you, dude. You know, for a long time, I've been a bit of a late bloomer. I used to live with my mom, but now I stay with flatmates, and I have to listen to the sound of complete strangers having sex. They're not as loud as my mom. You have to listen closely. I'm also trying to get better at talking to girls, so women. And I bought this book on dating advice. And it says, when you first approach a girl at a bar or a club, she's probably going to think, what does this guy want and when is he going to leave? So to answer that, it says you got to use something called a false time constraint, which is hey, I got to get back to my friends in a second. And this is false because when you've been doing this as long as I have, you won't have any friends. It says the next step is you want to start building up some comfort. And there's a way to speed up the process. So let's say you meet someone at this part of the club. 10 minutes later, you want to move over to another part of the club. Then about 10 minutes after that, you go to another part of the club. Then what's going to happen is you're going to feel like you've known each other for a really long time because you've built up all these memories in different locations. Remember when we went at that part of the club? Yeah, those are the days. These days you also have to have something called texting game. Everything I text to women always ends up sounding creepy. So to fix that, I've invented something called the creepy test. Where basically what I do is before I text anything to a woman, I first read it out aloud to make sure it doesn't sound creepy in a creepy voice. So I'll demo this. Hey, I'm standing outside your house. I know you're in there. So now thanks to that simple test, I've stopped saying that. Yeah, let's what I want to talk to you guys about. Guys use Hinge? Anyone using Hinge around here? Yeah. I started using Hinge and I set the filter to only see Jewish girls. And pretty quickly, because we're a minority, I ran out of people to swipe. So I started recycling from the beginning. And I was like, damn, now I gotta bang my cousin again. The first time was traumatic. But now we've built up comfort. Yeah, what else? My dad, when I was a kid, I found out that my dad was cheating on my mom. So I confronted him, I told him to stop. But then he explained it to me from his perspective. He was like, look son, I'm just not attracted to your mom anymore. I was like, fair enough, I wouldn't want to fuck her either. Finish what you start, Dad. My dad, he died from kidney failure. And that's not even the funny part. But it got me researching organ transplants. And I came across this thing where sometimes if you receive an organ, you may start experiencing the memories that belong to the donor. Then I was thinking, wouldn't it be crazy if my mom gave my dad one of her kidneys? And then she woke up in hospital, and my dad was just looking at her who the fuck is Jeff? Yeah, Jeff was a good guy. My dad didn't like fucking my mom, but Jeff sure did. You guys like dark comedy?
Yeah.
Yep. Cool, that's consent. So there's a series on Netflix about a guy called Jeffrey Dahmer. If you haven't seen it, he's a serial killer and he's got a few kinks. His kinks are cannibalism, necrophilia, and he likes a bit of a cuddle. What kind of weirdo likes to cuddle? But it's quite a gruesome series. I really struggle to get through an entire episode. You have to keep pausing it for breaks. Because I suffer from premature ejaculation. You said you like dogs? My mom, she grew up in a Christian home. And to be born Jewish, your mom has to be Jewish. So before marrying my dad, she converted. Mainly so she could complain about him without sounding anti-Semitic. My parents then sent me to a Jewish school. And my friends would make fun of me. They'd say, Craig's mom isn't really Jewish, so he's a fake Jew. And I knew that the best way to avoid getting into a fight was to say something that would unite us. So I'd say, guys, if this was 70 years ago, we'd all be together in Auschwitz. Sure, I'd probably have to talk my way onto the train. I'd definitely get a window seat. If they didn't let me on board, I mean, man, that would be embarrassing. All of my friends would be crammed into the back of the train, pointing out of the one small window. Craig's mom isn't Jewish. Then the Nazis start laughing, they're like, "Sein Mutter ist keine Juden!" You know, I specifically learned that phrase for the sake of this joke. Now the only thing I can say in German is like, his mom's not really Jewish. I have no idea when I'm going to get to use that. I was on the bus the other day and I looked out the window and I saw this guy with a face tattoo. I was curious about the psychology behind that, so I researched it and I found an interview with the guy and he was like, "You know, I got this face tattoo because I want you to express how I feel on my face." It's like, does this guy know he's got eyebrows? I mean, it's a really good idea. Like, if I ever get a face tattoo, I'm just going to get like loads of eyebrows. So think of that one. You know, let me ask you something. Have you ever been out and you see like a cute dog and you want to go over and start stroking it? I mean, it seems like a normal thing to do, but if you think about it, it's actually kind of weird. Like, we don't do that in any other area of life. Like, you never go over and like start stroking someone's child. Ah, beautiful child. Beautiful child. What breed is this? Never. Okay, one time. Anyway, I used to experiment with psychedelics. And one time I took a really strong tab of acid. Ended up thinking I was the Messiah. Because, like, look at the convincing science. Jewish, a man, and my mom's dating profile says that she's still a virgin. Why am I looking at my mom's dating profile? That's what you do when you get a Tinder match. Right? You know, sometimes I do just have to tell people that these are just jokes. Like, for example, I actually don't even use dating apps anymore because I kept getting reported. So I've moved on to matching with people on Ancestry.com. That's the fastest way to meet up and share DNA. I gotta get back to my friends in a second. Tell you one more. You know, as Jews, there are certain foods we can't eat. One of them is oysters. And they're not kosher. And the reason is because they produce pearls. And it's forbidden to eat a business opportunity. Well, guys, you've been awesome. I want you to keep that round of applause going for a friend of mine, another South African, Mr. Louis Pollock.